Good afternoon, y'all. Um, so far, no one has joined for this afternoon's Tai Chi class, but I'm going to go ahead and record and have a class recorded and put onto YouTube for anybody who wasn't able to join the live class, but still wanted to practice Tai Chi. And I know you can go back and rewatch any of the lessons, but it's just nice to have something fresh, and maybe I'll say something different than I've said before. Um, I don't really know what I'm gonna say. Sometimes I have a little bit of a plan of what to focus on. Um, sometimes something will come up in another class and it will remind me to say it to the other classes that I have. And something that was asked this morning in class was about the yin yang. And I'm wearing one of the shirts that you can earn whenever you attend 10 of the 16-week classes. 10 of the 16 classes. Our evidence-based program for Tai Chi is once a week for 16 weeks, twice a week for 8 weeks. And that if you complete 60% of the classes, then you're considered a completer and you earn a t-shirt. And gray is one of our colors. We have a coral as well as an aqua. But the gray shirt that I'm wearing today, it says, and all the shirts are the same. This one's just black. The other two are in white. But it says Tai Chi for Falls Prevention, seeking balance every day. And so that's kind of a play on words because, yes, we're a fall prevention program. Therefore, we are seeking balance. We don't want to lose our balance. We're hoping that we can get our muscles strong enough so that we can hold our bodies upright, catch ourselves if we get tripped up. But also seeking balance in terms of a yin yang. Yin and yang, they're opposite forces. So it could be positive, negative. It could be light and dark. It could be soft and hard. Opposite forces. And I'll get to showing you in class how we utilize the opposite forces in our Tai Chi. But that's what the yin yang represents. And so say this section is dark and this is light. And then the smaller circles, and they're sandwiched together in the big circle, but the smaller circles, it is the dark amongst the light and the light amongst the dark. And that's just what it is. So where there's light, there's darkness, and where there's darkness, there's light. And that's kind of symbolic of life and all the things that are opposites. Whenever we experience the opposites, we learn to appreciate the other things. We think about weather. Gosh, it would be nice to have this kind of a day, just beautiful sunshine, just warm, but just barely warm. It's not hot when we can be outside comfortably. Just a great weather experience. If it was like that every day, oh, we just would love it, right? But I don't know that we'd appreciate it. Those days that are stormy and rainy and gray and kind of gloomy, and maybe they bring your mood down. They definitely do mine. Cold weather brings me down. Dark days bring me down, and that's that seasonal affective disorder. But because of those days, experiencing those days, whenever we get to the nice, sunny, warm days, especially coming out of winter, we appreciate it more because we experience the icky one. And yes, I know the importance of rain to growing things. I understand that, and that's just all in that realm of the darkness and the light and the light and the darkness. We learn to appreciate it whenever we experience both sides of it. So, and there's so many different examples, but I think weather is definitely one of those. Tai Chi, and with gentle resistance, being one of our principles, and it's listed on the back. I don't have the shirt memorized in an order, but I do know my principles of being slow, smooth, and continuous, and gentle resistance within movement control. In terms of my body structure, upright posture, and then weight transfer. We have the internal experience, song, which is an open joint, and jing, which is a mental quietness. I don't know that that is listed on the back of this shirt. It's often something that is misunderstood or kind of difficult to wrap your head around because it's kind of an unseen thing, right? Yes, we know when our joints are open because we don't lock our joints. Locking our joints is a closed joint. So when we do our Tai Chi, we keep our joints open, nice and soft. So we don't lock when we have our hands out. Same thing with our knees. We keep our knees soft. Hey, Miss Linda.
Hey.
I've just been sitting here talking to myself.
Okay.
Well, no one had signed into class, so I said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and start class and have a recording on YouTube for anybody who may have to catch it later. And so I was talking about yin and the yin yang that's on our shirts, and how it represents light and dark, and the lightness in the dark and the darkness in the light. And when it comes to our principles in thinking about gentle resistance, and specifically in our advanced movements, we have a softness, and that usually happens within our transitional movement. And then that resistance or that harshness, and that's in typically our weight shifting. You know, because Tai Chi is the fight that we're never going to have in our advanced 6 movements. There's that kind of attack type move in our fight that we're not having. And that's usually where we instill resistance. And so because we have that soft or that looseness to our movement, and then we instill the resistance or the harshness, then we feel both sides of that. Rather, if we were to do resistance the whole time, if we were just going to keep, resisting throughout all of our moves, then it definitely would feel less smooth, and it would feel less relaxed. It would take away from our mental quietness, which are some of our other principles. And so the yin and yang kind of represents that and reminds us to have both soft and hard, even in our movements. So this is a Chinese symbol. I mean, it's been around a long time. And I just think it is fitting for us to use it for our Tai Chi shirts. And so that's kind of what I was talking about to myself.
Okay, well, I needed that anyway.
And I mentioned too about the weather and how, we think we would just like the weather to be sunshiny and 70 degrees or 78 degrees all the time. And that would be great. I don't know that we would appreciate it. If we didn't have those really cold days, we wouldn't appreciate the warm days.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's the same thing in our lives. Life is never perfect. And man, we would love for it to be. We would love for it to not have stress. We would like to have no problems, and yeah, that would be great. But I don't know that we would appreciate it.
We wouldn't. We wouldn't. If it was all perfect, we would take it for granted.
We would take it for granted. And so, that just that this yin yang, it just speaks to that. And I just think of it as appreciation of what is opposite. Even if it's opposite of what we think we want, it serves us by helping us appreciate the things we do want. Believe you me, I don't want any cold days. I don't. Oh gosh, I get depressed. I mean, I just hate to be cold. I suffer through them, and I mean I suffer through them because I have that seasonal affective disorder where I just get down. And but when that sun comes out, just like last weekend, what did I do? I just sat outside. And my husband was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm just letting that sun kiss my face." I just felt so happy to feel that sun again and to feel warmth. It was just very nice to get to be outside. That reminds me of last Tuesday, you know, I wasn't in class. We went to Reedsville. My daughter got her driver's license. She passed. And then we went to Swainsboro to watch my son play baseball. Oh, it was the most beautiful day. But what did we have to use? Sunscreen.
Yeah,
So that is a good reminder. And we had it. We packed it. So just let that be a reminder that as you start working outside a little bit, to put on sunscreen, wear a hat that covers your face, and protect your skin. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. I was going to continue talking to myself for the whole hour. Going to go through our movements just so there would be a recording. So whatever, right now, it's just me and you, Linda. And if there's anything particular you want to focus on, you just let me know and we will go that route. If you want to do any seated work, we can do that. You just let me know and we will focus on whatever you need. And so you just let me know, but we'll get warmed up.
It's easy for me to just follow what you do.
Okay, now I will do just that. And if you have any questions come up, just feel free to talk out anytime and let me know, and we'll address it at that time. Today in the first class, somebody said, we've been doing this advanced movements for a while, and I should know them, but I'm having a brain fog on brush knee. So we just stopped and we worked on just brush knee. So it might be commencement. You know, it might be the very first move that we ever learned, and your brain is just going, I don't know if I'm doing that right. So don't worry if it's something that you think, oh, I should know, I don't want to ask. So whatever that came up this morning, that's no problem. Mr. Ken, he has requested some more information about breathing. And so I'm going to work on that this week. And so we'll talk more about that next week. So I'd let y'all guide me, especially as we get closer to the end. This week is our 13th class. So after today, there's 3 more classes. I will go ahead and tell you that on April 23rd, which is not next Tuesday, but the next Tuesday, I'll have to cancel class because I have to go to Savannah for farmers market training. But we'll come back on the 30th, and then our last class is on May the 7th. But I'll remind y'all next week.
Yeah, because I'll need to write that down. I'll be forgotten.
That's okay. I thought next week was the 22nd, so I'm glad I'm a week ahead now. I'm on the right week now, but I thought, good gracious, this month of April's going by fast. Well, no, I was just a week off. I think I'm trying to rush time so my son will come home from college. I'm ready for him to come home.
I imagine you are.
It's been fun, but it's time for him to come home. All right, let's do our warm-ups. Let's get in our stable stance where our feet are shoulder width apart. Nice soft bend in our in our knees, no tension in our shoulders, and good posture, starting with our neck. You feel a little soft stretch in your neck as you take your chin towards your chest. Now let's go side to side and feel stretch in our neck in a different place. Check in with yourself and make sure you're breathing. Get stuck on this one because it feels so good. Roll our shoulders. I was in your neck of the woods yesterday. I went to a soccer game at the high school.
Oh, okay.
That was an exciting game. I tell you what, those soccer people know how to celebrate a win.
Did you have somebody there?
My daughter's boyfriend plays for Appling County, so she asked if I would go with her.
Oh, okay.
So that's the third game I've been to, and I tell you what, it's fun. But it's way past my bedtime. I like to have a shower by 8 o'clock.
Yeah. After a full day's work, I can imagine.
And I don't know, oh gosh, it was close to 10 when I got home last night, and then I had to get everything ready for today. So it was about 11 before I got to bed.
Makes a difference when you got a schedule to go by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's hard to say no when your daughter asks you to join something, because you know one day she won't be around. She'll be busy doing other things. So
yeah.
And I didn't want her to go by herself either. All right, for our spine. Our ball side to side. Our other spinal stretch. Engaging our core muscles as we go side to side. Now for our hips, shift weight, heel forward, hands back. Very challenging for our balance.
That's where I get mixed up.
What are you?
I'm moving my feet and my hands, and for some reason I can't get coordinated.
That's okay. If you want to completely skip your hands and just do your feet, if you feel balanced enough to just keep your hands in place, the most important thing happening here is what's happening with your leg. because it's warming up that hip joint. So totally skip the hand movement. Or you can place your foot, then place your hands. And your hands go opposite of the foot. So my foot is back, my hands are forward. So you can bring your feet or hands to the center, place your foot, then place your hands. So slow it down. Don't worry about it being continuous. Now the hands back and the foot forward and the foot back and the hands forward. That's a counterbalance to help keep you balanced. But what it really does is it works this brain.
Yeah.
It tells
That's what's happening. It's not working my brain.
that is called a cross lateral movement. So our legs are doing something opposite of what our hands are doing. And we do that often in our Tai Chi moves where we're moving in opposite ways. I'll point out a couple of examples to you, but it works our brain, which is so good for us. And, we talk about the benefits of Tai Chi. It's more than just what's happening with our body. We get some good brain activity as well. So take your time with it. Like I said, skip it for the sake of your hip, because it is a hip warm-up stretch. So if the hands are just throwing you off so much, forget it and just move that leg to be able to stretch the hip. Or like I said, place the foot, then place the hands. All right, for our other hip movement, we shift to one leg. Our hands go in the direction of the weight shift, staying within our frame and tapping that foot out. So again, this takes a lot of balance to not just shift our weight to one leg, but to feel comfortable lifting that other foot and tapping it out. Keeping our body upright is a challenge. I feel like when I shift the weight, I want to lean with it. So that's a challenge, but we want to keep our bodies upright. When we start to lean, that lets gravity take over and we're increasing our chance of falling. Next is for our knees, hands on our hips. Here's another example of our cross lateral movement where we shift the weight and we tap that toe out and we punch opposite hand. So that's very challenging too. Shift, lift, tap and punch.
But do we go front and backwards with our foot?
No, we just have our feet side by side. And when we shift, we tap that toe out in front while the other foot is still back and punch the opposite hand. So it looks like one foot's back, but it just stayed in place while the other one went forward.
I can tell I'm not steady with that.
Some days I have really good balance, some days I don't. So on days when I don't feel like I have good balance, I keep my toe really close to the ground. I don't lift it very high in the air. And from day to day, the feeling of how balanced I am can change. Probably today, I don't feel very balanced because I'm tired.
That can do it.
And, I feel like as the day goes on, our bodies start kind of wearing out. Our minds start wearing out. And it's as we get later in the day, it does increase our chance of falls because we're just tired. Our muscles are tired. Our brain's not functioning 100%. And so that's just something to be aware of. So that you can take more precautions later in the day. Now I'm shifting, stepping, a very small step forward, shifting, and then coming back.
My mind just don't want to work with my body.
I understand. So place that foot out and then shift the weight to the front foot and shift it back. You don't have to do anything with your hands right now. Shift, step out, shift front, and shift back. See, that's most important for the sake of your knees, also for your hips, keeping both feet flat on the floor. As it's just a small step, shift and back. So that's the most important thing happening there. So it's no problem to just skip the hand that punch. But if you want to shift the weight, then give it a little punch. Or if you punch the same side as the leg that's out, way worse things could happen, right?
Yes.
By punching the opposite hand than the foot, that's that cross lateral movement that's so good for your brain. Good for your brain, but challenging to your brain in the same sense.
Absolutely challenging.
All right, then for our ankles, we don't have any hand movements for this one, so we're good to go here. Heel toe, just rocking that foot, getting some of that tension out of our ankles. Any kind of stiffness we have in that joint. Bring that foot back, shift, and heel toe with the other foot. Reminding myself to breathe. Bring it back, and then big toe, little toe. So we rock our foot side to side. It's a little more awkward of a movement. Bring it back, shift the weight, and little toe, big toe. All right, give yourself a good shake. And now we are going to go through our, what is that noise? I love computers. They're so great. They're always dinging and donging, aren't they?
And yeah.
All right, so let's go through our basic 6 movements. So we're getting in our upright posture. Our feet are shoulder width apart. Have a soft bend in our knees. As we move, we're keeping in mind that we want to also let our armpits breathe. So we hold our arms away from our body as we move. We don't close them in because that's part of having an open joint too. Our elbows, when our hands are out, they're not out. We don't lock our joints. It's still a soft bend. So keeping those things in mind for an open joint as we go through our basic 6. From the top. And commence. Hands come up and down, shift right. Step left. Hands come in and up. Shift left as those hands go out. Right foot forward. Hands come back, open and close. Single whip. Shift left, step right. Push, turn, separate. Eyes follow that left hand. Waving hands in clouds. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back. Step and switch. Turn, shift. Step and switch. Turn, shift. Step and switch. Turn, shift. Step and switch. Turn, shift, step and switch, turn, shift, step and switch, turn, and to the middle for open and close. Single whip, shift right, step left, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, eyes follow our right hand. Shift right, bring that left foot, left hand back, waving hands in clouds. Step and switch, turn, shift, 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 step and switch, turn, and to the middle for open and close. All right, let's do it again. Basic 6. I'll just call out the names of the movements. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Open, close. Close it out. You feel good about those? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I just noticed Miss Gail was waiting to come in. Mark her present. Don't see her coming up yet, but Miss Gail, if you can hear me, welcome. I'm sorry if you were waiting long. I did not see you because I was turned around. All right, so you feel good about our the part 1
Yeah.
basic 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good gracious. Okay, so let's go to our advanced movements. So remember I was talking earlier about yin and yang, about the softness and the hard. It's evident in our basic 6, but nothing like that's in our advanced 6. You know, our advanced 6 really does feel like the fight we're never gonna have. Because there's a kind of an attack move, and then there's like a reaction, just like someone was attacking you and you kind of back up. And so let's go through that advanced 6, thinking of it as if it were a fight, as if there is an actual opponent that we are fighting. Okay, here we go. Brush knee. Play the lute. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the lute. Carry punch. Block and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Close it out. It may have been a little more difficult to think of it as a fight as we're saying the names out loud. I felt like I was giving away my secrets to my opponent. My camera might not exactly be right. All right, so now I'm going to do our advanced 6, but not tell my opponent what I'm doing. So let me just go through the movements of advanced 6. Here we go. Oh, starting with an open and close. Begin. Yeah, that felt a little bit more like the fight that we're not really having.
Yeah.
Because I could kind of like just get into it where I'm just like backing up and then going for the attack. And so that's the yin and yang, that opposites, that appreciation of the gentle resistance, because we're not really fighting, and then the gentleness of the transition. And that resistance usually happens, or we usually give resistance as we're shifting weight. That's typically where that happens. And so let's do it again, thinking about where we're adding that resistance. And so I'll call it out loud on what makes sense to me. Now, something else may make sense to you, and there's really no right or wrong to it. Just like breath, you may feel your breaths may happen a little differently than mine. We experience it the same, even when we followed our principles. All right, so with brush knee, so we have that transition, that weight shift, and we reach out. You could think of that as resistance as you reach out, the softness in that transition, and then as we shift the weight, that gentle resistance, that push word. So here in brush knee, using the word reach as we're starting that movement, where we reach out that right hand, we shift left, we turn that right toe in, we reach with our right hand. That's a resistant type word. Reach, shift, separate, prepare. There's softness there. Now, as we shift and we push, here's resistance. Push and follow step. Step back, turn hands. There's that softness. And as we shift weight and our hands pass, there's resistance. Right there, resistance. Follow step. Now parry punch. Step and switch. There's a softness there. And put or switch, and there's that resistance as we shift. And I parry. That's what we're doing. We're shifting as we parry, and there's that resistance. Step and switch. There's the softness. And then resistance as we shift and parry. There's the step and guard. There's the softness. And now as we deliver that flowers or that punch, shift and punch, there's resistance and follow step. Now here's where I break down soft. I break down block and close as a soft move. And then push the tiger as that resistant move. Step and push, follow step. And then to the front, open and close. So you can make your open and close soft as in just a breath where your hands open and close. Or you can make your open and close a resistant move where you resist to come open and then push as you come in. Or you can make it soft as you open and resist as you push close. So you feel the difference in just those three different ways of doing that one movement. All soft, where we just open, close, and our hands just open and close. There's no extra resistance there. We can, on the whole opposite end, make it fully resistant, where we're pulling out with resistance and pushing in with resistance. Pulling and pushing. So you feel, yes, just like an accordion. And you feel all those muscles working when you use all the resistance, right? Oh, you're just like pulling, just opening and pushing and close. I mean, I feel muscles all in the top part of my arm. I feel it in my back and in my shoulders. That's a whole lot of muscle that I'm using in the name of resistance, when if I were to just breathe and not use any of that resistance, I'm still using muscle, but it's not as
much.
Yeah.
It's
so in the happy medium, do soft as you open and then resistance as you close.
Yeah.
So the soft and the hard. All ways are correct to do just that one movement. So you can imagine that when it comes to our other Tai Chi movements, we can work them all a little bit differently. Soften them up in places, give them resistance in other places. In my opinion, it would be exhausting to make it all resistant.
Yeah.
To just sit and just power and push through all of Tai Chi, it would lose its gentleness that Tai Chi is, because it's not intended to be a harsh movement. It's intended to be gentle, even in its resistance. And so it's just a reminder of our yin and yang, soft, and then the resistance, but it's still gentle. All right. So, back to our advanced movements. So let's go to the right. I don't think did I ever even go to the right? Let's just start it from the top. Going to the left first and then the right. You know, just making it whatever you want it to be in terms of that softness and the resistance. All right, from the top, coming from open and close. Brush knee. Knee. Nice movements. Any of those advanced movements that you want me to go over?
Not me. I'm fine.
Right, very good. Let's go through them again. And you know, of our principles, you don't even have to think about this fight. You don't have to think about resistance. Simply thinking about how is my posture? So all the way through, let's think, how is my posture? Of course, we want it to be upright, an upright posture. My tendency is to want to lean with my weight shift forward. I mean, I just want to push and lean into it, but that's not what I should be doing. I want to keep an upright posture no matter where my weight shift is happening. My body stays upright. So I don't lean into a weight shift. And it's especially challenging in our advanced movement. So let's just think about our posture, making sure we're keeping an upright posture. Coming from open and close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Close it out. So that's thinking about posture. Now I want you to just make sure you're breathing all the way through. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Of course, I just have to say, this is what the things that we do once we learn our movements. We can do our movements and focus on each of our principles. So maybe you don't naturally know what's next, what's next, what's next. That's where I encourage you to write down the movements and hang them on the wall in front of you and let that list be your brain. If I tell you, okay, let's do waving hands in clouds, you probably have a good idea of what waving hands in clouds looks like. But sometimes it's hard to know what's next or which way whenever you are learning the movements. So let's go through and just think about breathing, making sure we're not holding our breath. So from our advanced 6 all the way through, coming from open and close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. To the front. Open, close. And close it out. That's a little more challenging for me because I'm talking, but maybe you felt those reminders to making sure you were breathing, help you breathing. Another thing we can think about is am I holding tension anywhere in my body? I'll tell you why. When it becomes a problem for me is anytime I bring my hands up like this. So whether it's for single whip, whether it's for waving hands in clouds, in our advanced movements, really whenever I push the tiger, in those moments, if I'm not paying attention, I'll catch tension in my shoulder and leave it there, whether it's in my upper back or in my shoulders. So just double checking with yourself and making sure, am I holding tension anywhere? And then letting it go as you go through the movements. But those are some of the moments whenever I catch myself holding tension and then I have to adjust and let that go. So let's start from the very beginning and just think about not holding tension. Okay, so from the top and commence. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. To our advanced movements. Brush knees. Still thinking no tension. Play the loop. Hairy punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Hairy punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Right. Open, close. Close it out. So recognizing tension and letting that tension go is not just something that you can do in Tai Chi class, but something you can do all the time. Just double check your body structure. Make sure that you're not holding tension anywhere. Mine is usually in my neck and shoulders where I'll catch that I'm holding tension. So just remember that tension can cause pain. So by letting it go, potentially we're letting go that opportunity that we will have pain. So throughout the day, like I said, outside of Tai Chi, throughout the day, I'm toggling between those three things that we just went through. How is my posture? Am I holding tension anywhere? And am I breathing all day long? I'm going, okay, we're breathing. Oh, I just caught myself holding my breath. Oh, that posture, when I'm sitting down, even not just when I'm standing. How is my posture? Am I breathing? am I holding tension? All day long, just little toggle between those three things. All right, so let's do it one more time. Think about whatever it is you want to think about. And then we will do our cool down. Okay, from the top. And commence. Advanced movements. Let me not stress you. I was thinking about this, what I was doing that time was I just did the moves. I didn't think about movement control. I wasn't thinking about resistance. I wasn't thinking about posture or tension or even breathing. All I was thinking was Tai Chi. And my body went into like memory mode because it knows it so well. Because I've practiced with each of my principles in focus, my body naturally does it. I don't even have to think about it. And when you can get there and not have to think about it and still do it, that's when you can just relax into Tai Chi and find just that reduction of anxiety, just that nice, easy feeling where you just feel relaxed in it. And that's a great place to be. It just comes from so much practice. Let's give ourselves a fist massage. So I encourage you to think, and then I encourage you not to think. Just do it, and you'll get benefits from doing all of those things. And that's the beauty of 6 movements done 6 different ways. We get different things out of them. It never gets boring. You wouldn't think we'd have to remind ourselves to breathe, but doggone it if I don't. All right, tense our muscles. We don't want to live like this. Let it go. Yeah, the most simple thing of breathing that we automatically do, and I'm holding my breath, tense and release. That's a good reminder that we don't want to feel this way. We want to feel that release. Big shoulder circle. Inhale up and exhale as we push down. Again, there's a resistance word. One more. We take our right fist. This is mirror image. It represents our strength. Our left fingers together represents our friendship. Our thumb in our humility. So strength, friendship, and humility. We put those together, and in mutual respect, we say namaste. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. Miss Gail, I'm glad you came in, even though you're running a little bit behind. I always encourage y'all to come on. Miss Linda came in and I was talking to myself. So I'll be here. I wanted y'all to be able to have a class that you can go to if you can't make it to class, because I understand life is busy. So, but y'all let me know if I can do anything for you, okay?
Thank you so much. You have a good rest of the week.
You too, Miss Linda. Love you.
Love you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.